Why is it so dark?
It's always darkest before the dogs.
Are those lights normal? Because they're really bad.
There we go.
Well, that helps my eyes a little bit. Thank you.
Ben Scrivens gets to start tonight. Just can you talk about the excitement he must be feeling starting? He's never played in this building. He's from the area.
Well, I know he's excited to be back home, and anytime you get to play in front of your family, I don't care how old you are, it's a special thing because they don't get to see you play live that much when you're in other cities. It's always a flight for them or catching you on the road somewhere, and this time his family gets to see him play in his hometown. I'm sure he's got some buddies here, and his wallet's going to be a little bit lighter grabbing those tickets. I hope they don't think that's going to be a common occurrence.
It's a little different than the last start he had because, then he's just joining you guys, doesn't really know a lot of guys. You're throwing him in there, but now he's kind of able to catch his breath and skate with the guys a little bit before he plays this game.
Yeah, I think the relationships are always important. I was grabbing dinner by myself and when we were on the road, and I saw him walk in with like 7 other guys into the restaurant I was in. So that was encouraging right away. And as those relationships grow, then you find that they'll fight for each other a little bit more. So I think he's an intelligent kid. He'll get a real good barometer of our group real quick. But I know he's excited to play. And the greatest thing Ben said to me so far was after we made the deal, I called him and in 2 sentences he said, I want to come in there and earn my ice time, and I want to earn another contract. So he knows where I come from on how you go about those things. No, I did. I just grabbed the whole D, and especially with this big, huge, long, massive break coming up, Corey has worked extremely hard. He's ready to go back in. He's been ready for a game or 2 now, and I just explained to the D that it's still very important to make the decision to take you out to be a very hard one. But the reality is, on our back end, is that we've got a few guys that are all kind of the same, and if they've had an off night, or I think they've played terrible, or the effort wasn't there, whatever it is, they will know that's the reason they're coming out. But there's going to be nights like, for Belov tonight that we're just going to give him a rest. Corey's worked extremely hard to come back, and we want to get him back in, and we may just rotate it around a little bit unless somebody really, really struggles. It looks like Larson's progressing too, getting close, and that breaks an awful long thing, and I'd hate to have 1 or 2 guys sitting around who haven't played for now months, not just weeks.
Dallas, somewhat unusual circumstances regarding your opponent tonight. They won't have a head coach. They've been part of a media circus for the last 2 or 3 days, and I'm sure it's not going to end.
Why? What happened there?
Does that change your game plan, or is that an opportunity to take advantage? Any different?
Yeah, I don't think it has no bearing on how we will prepare for the game. In the end, the players go out and play. We give them direction, we give them the game plan, but in the end, they go over the boards and play the shifts. So I know they have 2 other assistants over there that have both been head coaches, so the team's in good hands. But it has absolutely no bearing on how we prepare or maybe even how the game's going to go.
What about preparing for no Henrik's Sedin? That's a little bit.
Well, I'm kind of hoping those twins, they seem to do everything together. Can the other one not play too? That would be awesome if that could happen. But, it's always like for us, I know those twins. I got to spend some time with them back the last year I played. And I was actually Hank's roommate at training camp. And just wonderful guys, hardworking guys. You never like to see guys like that hurt, but it's certainly not going to hurt us with him being out. That being said, when a guy of that magnitude is out of the lineup, it's somebody usually steps up. Somebody looks at it as an opportunity. So we'll just kind of wait and see. But it's certainly not going to hurt us if one or both of them are out. Yeah, they're very considerate. These guys they're just wonderful people, like high character, real pros, kind of guys that do everything right, and I respect the two of them greatly.
Can you take an appreciation for his streak as a former player? Just playing that long is almost unheard of.
Yeah, I can't even imagine it. It's in, what was it at? Yeah, like that's incredible in today's game where guys are skating fast and hard, and the rigors of especially Vancouver's travel, what they go through there. That's one hell of a streak.
Dallas, the Canucks in the last 8 or 10 days or so, there's been lots of fights, lots of headlines, lots of their players talking about wanting to show that they're not a team that's going to be pushed around, and I don't know if an identity change is the right way to put it, but you played them earlier in the year, you're playing them now. Do you view them any different in terms of the character of this team or the pushback from this team? Have they done anything to change that in your mind?
No, I don't think they've acquired anybody, have they, that since the start of the year that's made them any different.
Effort, I think.
Yeah, maybe more effort. You know, my wife asked me that. She goes, when did the Canucks get so tough? And I said, well, they were tough right from the start of the season. The personnel's all there. So I think it's, I don't know what's going on in their locker room. So it's, maybe they're trying to change that. Maybe they've just had a couple of weeks where there's been a lot of hot heads going on. That happens with teams too. So I don't know if they're looking to change their identity or what. You'd have to
Dallas, in your experience,
ask them.
Sorry, in your experience, can something like Saturday night galvanize a team or serve as a rallying point, or all the other cliches teams invariably trot out when something like that happens?
Yeah, I do. I certainly do. I think certain levels of adversity, whether it be long or short, and obviously that is all that went on there, like the anxiousness of, the other team's lineup comes in, you put your lineup out, there's anxiousness going on now leading up to that puck drop. Then what happens? The stuff in between the periods. Then they were able to go and win the game. That for me, it does sometimes bring the group closer together. That they're in the fight with each other, and sometimes it does nothing. But I have seen it have effects on teams.
Further to that, have you ever thought about charging the other team's locker room to give your team a lift?
Well, the problem for me with it is, what if they let me in? And they close the door and don't let me out. So that has not gone through my head.
I've never started a lineup like Bob did in Calgary, where he said, okay, I've got the top guys out here, let's do that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think where we did it this year. We started our fourth line somewhere, and it was not a go fight. It was, these guys were excellent on the forecheck. They gave us energy. They were physical. It was in Ottawa. I just remembered. So I started our guys thinking, let's get some energy going here. And Mr. McLean started Spezza, and then they almost scored. And so as much as it looks good sometimes, it can really backfire on you. And sometimes they could start their top line, and your fourth line goes in, gets them hemmed in, gets physical, and it gives you a spark to the game. But listen, you never know how that's going to go. And we talked about the first question. The players have to go out there and play in the end, and it's you may have one thing in mind, and something else totally happens.
Tortorella said in a case like that, he felt he has to protect his players, even though he kind of knew what would happen if he put his tough guys out. He didn't think it was a safe alternative, say, to put out a skill line. As a coach, would you agree with that if you would see Hartley's lineup and he's got Westgard
center and McGrath, would you put out skill guys, consider that, or would you think you have to protect those guys and go out your tough guys?
Yeah, I got asked the question yesterday, that same thing, what would you have done? And I can't tell you what I would have done until you're in it. And I think I would have put out my fourth line, and I think I would have put out my first line. There's two ways to handle it, and I think it always goes back to where do you think your team's at? What's your history with the other team? How was your last game with the other team? Are these points important? Is sending a message to the other team, sending a message to your own team, what's most important at the time? And I have not spent 1 second analyzing where Vancouver's at or Calgary's at. I've been more concerned with our group. So it's a tough question to answer, and I think it's an extremely tough question to have an opinion on until you're in it.
Dallas, would you hesitate to start a fourth line now, knowing that if something happens, you could end up getting fined?
Luke Gazdic will not be playing center ice tonight.
Start?
No. It's and it goes to, I think we talked about this yesterday. Listen, but part of our jobs are to take the temperature of what's going on, and I think we always have to be first and foremost to our organization and the team, and for me, our players. But listen, we have to have a responsibility to our game, and boy, would I like to maybe start our fourth line tonight. Maybe that was the plan before all of this happened, and maybe that plan got scrapped. Maybe I wanted to get some energy going. I'm certainly not ever going to throw my finger up to the league and do something like that. This is a real hot button issue. I understand the temperature here, and we'll go about this a different way tonight.
What did you think of the suspension? Did you have?
I always think that those guys at the league, I've said it in here before, they have an extremely hard job to do when it comes to suspensions, whether it's players or coaches or management, whatever it is, and I think they rarely ever get it wrong. I know the thought process there. I know the people who, I know Coley Campbell, I know Mike Murphy, I know these guys personally, and I know they agonize over it, and I just think they hardly ever get it wrong.
Dallas, how would you describe just the animosity between these two teams? You referred to when you're on the road, two teams that don't like each other very much. There was the incident with Gagne during the preseason. Gazdic was saying he grew up in Ontario, was never like the Canucks. But how would you describe the level of animosity this season between these teams?
Yeah, there's certainly, listen, they're obviously up higher in the standings than us, and we've been beaten down this year, but that doesn't discount that this goes back further than just training camp with the Gagne thing. I don't think these teams have liked each other for a very, very long time. It's part of the conference rivalry, and I don't think it'll probably ever go away. So, but I think it's great for the game. It's great to have rivalries and teams that dislike each other, and it usually makes for a high-paced, entertaining game.
With the addition of Hendricks and having Gazdic in the lineup, does that give your skilled guys a little more confidence knowing that there is that backup there in case anything goes sideways?
Yeah, maybe, but you know what's interesting about it is our skill guys. I've had them, on the ice. The other team puts. Let's go about the other way. The other team, I've had our skill guys ready to go on the ice, and the other team puts out some tougher players, and I've held them off and put another group on, and I've had our skill guys, let us have them. They want to play against them. I think it's overblown the fear factor on the ice sometimes. There's some players, yeah, they do play soft and scared, but our guys have always, anytime that's happened, I've had them look at me going, let us out there against those guys. We'll score. So there's very little fear with our guys.
Thank you.
Good.
Couldn't be worded. Thanks, Dallas.